give me 2 seconds. Let me put these down. What are these? Well, they're actually my favorite books of the year. There's 12 of them, and I'm finally going to put them back on the shelves. They've been sitting on my desk for a while because I like to keep one for each month. You want to know about them? It's so exciting. I love sharing books. Yes, let's talk through them. Let's go through each one, what I think of them, and then let's do, funny idea, let's do semi-finals and then finals and then my book of the year. Let's pick it, shall we? Okay, I have my beverage. It's caramel oat latte. It's my first coffee of the day. I've already had a tea, but we need coffee. Okay. So I have pile book here, pile book on the floor, and I have my reading journal. I thought we would use this to help go through the books. So without too many spoilers, without looking too much, don't look on that side. I have my books of the month there. So don't mind me if I look down. I'm looking at my reading journal. So the month of January, I read 5 books, and my book of the month was What the River Knows. Now, this is the, I think, Fairy Loot edition. Yes, the Fairy Loot edition. I also have the Owl Crate edition. This was still when I was getting the book boxes, and I'm so glad I got the book boxes of these because this book was amazing. Now, I did listen to it on Audible. I found it a lot easier, especially with some of the Spanish words. It helped me unpack what they were because I could hear them audibly, but not so much read them on the page. So this is set in like the 1920s era when Tutankhamun and like the ancient Egyptian like aesthetic and that kind of idea was in big boom. So we follow two characters, Inez and what's his name? So this book follows Inez and Wit. Think The Mummy meets Murder on the Orient Express, kind of Death on the Nile kind of aspect. So that murder mystery, but also that romance that comes through and discovering tombs and the magic that comes with it. It was beautifully written. I just had a flick through then and I didn't realize that there's actually images and that in this version. And there's a special excerpt at the back from Fairy Loot from the author that's actually annotated. Now, this edition is gorgeous, if you can see. It really kicked off my love of ancient Egypt again, and I'm so glad because I'm teaching it this year, so in 2025. So I'm not teaching the book, I'm teaching ancient Egypt. Anyway, loved it. I gave it a 5 out of 5. On the spicy rating, it's probably only a 1. There's not so much, there's like kissing and a little bit of touching, but there's no actual stuff because it's the 1920s, so you'd think that she wouldn't within the 1920s aspect. But I really love this. I loved the mythology. I love the world building. I love the idea that there's magical objects that still have resonating power, and people have lost how to create these magical objects. But I love this. So this was January. So in the month of February, I only read 3 books. It was the start back for the school year and it's super stressful, so I needed something simple. So my book of this month was Icebreaker. This is my first time reading a Hannah Grace book and I absolutely loved it. I loved the dynamic between, what's her name? Anastasia and Nate, and I've actually picked up the rest of the series already and read them and absolutely love them. I love the dynamic between the 2 characters and the representation. I felt they were quite believable in their actions and the way that they behaved with some things. Other things I'm just like, not sure. But I did like how this turned out in the end. So I gave this a 5 out of 5. In terms of spice, this is definitely a 3. It had some very steamy scenes in it. So this is only recommended for 18 plus because of some of those scenes within there. But in terms of a contemporary romance that's like a hockey player and she's a figure skater, you have to read Icebreaker. If you're a romance girly or person, then you need to read Icebreaker. 100%. In the month of March, which was actually autumn in Australia, I read 8 books. So you can tell that it the autumn vibes really made me want to read. So my book of the month for this one is actually started off everything, and that's Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So I didn't know what I was expecting when I went into this. I really just bought it for a cover buy and then started reading it, and oh my gosh. I read this beauty in one sitting. I annotated it. It was my first time annotating in a long time. I have a full reading vlog if you want to see it, but I really enjoyed the dynamics between the two characters. It had that murder mystery aspect within that. Well, not murder mystery. It had a mystery aspect within there as well. So it kind of gave you that ooh, almost Halloween ghosty vibes, hence the pumpkin spice. But look at this cover. Isn't it divine? I'm so glad that I got this one. I'd really like to get the one that's actually foiled, but it's a little bit harder. This is by Laurie Gilmore, and it definitely gave me Gilmore Girl vibes. But so it's Gilmore Girls meets Hallmark movies. It has this great mix up within it. It has this super cute cat. It's grumpy sunshine. Honestly, if you want that cozy warm hug of a book that keeps you turning the pages, you need to try the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Now, it won't blow your socks off. It's not the best narrative or the bestly written or that kind of thing, but in terms of enjoyment of the book, I gave this a 5 out of 5. In terms of spice, I gave it a 2 out of 5. I have adjusted my ratings for this year to make it a little bit more different, just to even out my spice ratings. But this would be between a 2 and a 3. There is some steamy scenes in here. It is open door, so do have that in mind when you're going into it. But it was just so cute. She opens a she doesn't open. She takes on a coffee shop, which is the Pumpkin Spice Cafe, from her aunt. And then there's this guy, he's a produce guy, and he wears a hat backwards, and he's got a flannel. And oh my God, hello, Gilmore Girls. Am I right? Now, April. April was one of the slowest reading months. I only read 2 books for April, and one of them definitely blew my socks off, and that is Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen, the sister writing duo. Now, this was, I think, originally a fan fiction. I'm not sure, but it is a Beauty and the Beast, but it's a reverse harem eventually. Spoilers. It is very spicy. It's probably on a 3 or a 4 scale of spice. So definitely not for the young readers. Actually, all these books aren't for young readers. Not for under 18-year-olds, unless parent consent. Anyway, very spicy, very Beauty and the Beast. Does have a lot of trigger warnings, so keep that in mind before you go into it. I do like the aspect of the 4 seasons are the guy and then the girl. I can't remember her name. What is her name? Rosaline O'Connell gave me very much. Miss O'Connell. Anyway, so there's Rosie and the 4 princes that share the castle. If you can see the castle underneath, is very cool. I do have the special edition one. I loved it that much. But in terms of this, so she falls from her normal world into the fairy realm. She meets the 3 Fae princes. There's chaos ensues. She gets locked away. There's a curse that she has to help break, hence the thorns. And there might be a 5th prince, but I'm not telling you that. But I'm telling you, but I'm not telling you. You know what I mean? But yes, 5 out of 5. 3 to 5 or 3 to 4 on the spice ratings. Yes, I just bumped that up. Sorry. It is very spicy, but I loved it. I really did. I really loved it. In the month of May, which was the last month of autumn, I read 6 books. So those 6 books were some novellas and some graphic audio and some ebooks. But the one book that left me thinking about was the cheat sheet. Yes, it took me that long to read it. I know this has been out for a while. Like, when did it get published? 2021. So it took me 3 years. Yeah, 3 years to read it. And I was not let down. This gave me icebreaker vibes, but friendship. In terms of their friends before they get together. This is closed door as well. So if you're looking for something not as like revealing spicy, then try this one. Her other ones aren't. Her other ones are open door, and she talks about that later, but it is just so cute. So this is Bree and Nathan. Bree is a ballerina who's actually been injured, so then she can't follow her ballerina dreams. And Nathan is a football player, and essentially him and his mates devise a cheat sheet to win her over. And it's just so cute. And I'm so glad I picked this up. I have the others in the series, and you know I'm reading them. 100%. So this is probably on spice rating. It's probably only like a 1 or a 1.5. There is some moments where you're just like, oh, that's hot and steamy, but nothing happens. So it's kind of closed door. So 1 to 2. If you're looking for something that gives you like friend zones or friends to lovers, then this is the one for you. Okay, in June, my birthday month, I read 7 books. So you can see how this picked back up again. I hate reading in summer. It sucks. But the book I read was Bride. This is my top book of the month. This is by Ali Hazelwood. I also annotated this and highlighted. Oh, did I highlight? No, I think I just annotated. Yeah, I just annotated. So I annotated as I went through on different scenes. So pink is like romance / giggles. Blue is sad, and yellow is like, what the hell's going on here? I think. Yeah. Anyway, I like this book. It wasn't probably like the best book I've read of hers. She does have this particular way of writing that I quite enjoy. It's less purple prose, more easy to understand and more emotion based, with inner thoughts driving the narrative. I thought the enemies to lovers, like true enemies to lovers, was quite interesting, how she's a vampire and he's a werewolf. But the idea that she is less vampire because of the situation that she grew up in, rather than what we originally expected. But I liked how this turned out. I am probably going to read this again. I would love to see this as a graphic novel. I would 100% read it. In terms of spice rating, I'd give this, why'd I only give that 2? Radio. I'd give this a 3. It was probably on the same par as Icebreaker in terms of like the spice level, but I think it was well done, and it wasn't like in your face as much. I find sometimes with some of the Ali Hazelwood that I've read recently, they're quite in your face, and it like the spice drives the narrative, where this is more characters drive the narrative. I liked her world building, which was very different to her previous ones, which were more contemporary. So she definitely stepped well into the fantasy world, I reckon. Very much so. Okay, so for the month of July, which is the second month of winter, I read 5 books, but the one that stuck out for me during that time was Powerless. I devoured this. I listened to it on Audible, and wow. I'd heard so many people talk about this. I'm like, will I like it? Will I not? And I loved it. I really did. Can I remember anything about this book? No, I can't. Are we surprised? No. I sometimes, when I read books, especially if I've read ones that are similar to it, I just go, huh? So let me read the back again. I still read the back and I've still got no idea. Okay, so this follows Peyton and Kai. I definitely need to do a reread of this. But essentially it is, I believe it's a YA fantasy, and it follows Peyton as she is thrown into these trials, think Hunger Games. And yeah, stuff happens, stuff ensues. The ending of this left me speechless. I do remember the ending. It still leaves me like, what the hell? But I think this is something that I am going to have to reread and probably annotate before I read the next one. But in terms of book picks for that month, I picked this one, and I did write a whole review. I will leave that link down below for you. Sorry, I can't remember. The one thing that really left me thinking was the ending of the book. Also, the constant mention of her being powerless, because this is within a world that they have power, and then some people become ordinary. Well, she is not ordinary, I don't think. I was waiting the whole time for something to happen, and it didn't, and I was disappointed with some bits. But in terms of like the actual narrative and the plot, I quite enjoyed it. In August, I read 7 books, and I read one of my favorite books of the year, which is The Ornithologist's Field Guide to Love by India Holtman. It honestly still leaves me thinking to this day. The actual premise of the book was just amazing. So, ornithologists are magical bird studiers, essentially. So she works at a college, and it's like the Victorian era, which is similar to what her other books are, and they're hunting this magical bird. Now, there is a guy, so the main character's name is Beth, and the other guy's name is Devon, is hunting for this bird to win the trophy and to get tenure so that she doesn't lose her job. Essentially, she gets permanency. So she's looking for that. And then Devon is also looking for the bird, but for other reasons. He's American, she's British. She definitely has ASD, just from the way that she talks and as well as what the author has said. And I just love it. I listened to the audiobook, and it was one of the best, honestly. I loved how it gave me the Mummy vibes in terms of like that rivalry that comes through, but they also were hunting for a bird, and they don't hurt the bird, just FYI. They're very protective of the bird. And I just loved it so much. Honestly, if you're looking for something humorous but also steamy, then you need to pick up this book. So I gave it a 5 out of 5. No problems at all. If I could give it more, I would. In terms of the spice, I would give it a 3 out of 5. There was some very spicy scenes, and I just loved it. The spice didn't drive the plot. The plot was driven by the hunt for this bird and helping each other, and there was just so many parts of it that were just so funny that you have to read it. Also, pick up the audiobook. It was amazing. I want to get, if this comes out in hardcover, I want it. I want to read it again and annotate this baby, because it's so good. So good. So, month of September, I read 5 books. There was just so many great ones, but I had to pick this one. So, no surprise, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. I got the special edition, of course. And oh my gosh, why did I put this off for so long? I always do this to myself. I put books off and I'm like, no, I won't read it because it just won't live up to the hype and it just won't be made. I loved it. I still think about it to this day. And that's how I know if it's a good book or not, is if I still think about it and still think about like, how did that happen? Or what was going on there? This book. I believe there's like a 4th book coming out. I do have the second. It's on the shelf right behind me. Well, there-ish somewhere. I don't know where it went. Oh, there, it's right in my coffee. I do need to get the others in this series. I believe that there is a specific reading order, so I do want to get them and find them out. But oh my gosh, this is Hunger Games, but make it dark and steamy. So we follow, what's her name? Raya. We follow Raya, who is a human in a world of vampires. So her father is the vampire king, her adopted father is the vampire king. And for her to turn into a vampire, because that's all she's wanted to do her entire life, and like bond with her father to like share his power, she has to win this tournament, which is Nyaxia's tournament. I think it's Nyaxia. Let me just check. Kajar. Yeah. So she has to win Nyaxia's tournament called the Kajar, where she meets this rival who is from a different set of vampires. And she has to team up with him and some others to win. So it's Hunger Games meets vampires, meets twists and turns. And oh my God, this left me reeling. And that last chapter... I need the next book. I do. I really do. I obviously gave this a 5 out of 5. In the spice rating, I'd probably give this a 3. It wasn't like the spiciest book I've read, obviously. But in terms of like the interplay between this, very spicy. Now, there is quite a few trigger warnings, so keep that in mind before you delve into this book, especially if you are prone to certain things. I would check this out before looking at it, but I just love this. I honestly, her writing style was amazing. Now, I did listen to this as well. I'm finding 2024 was the year of listening, and that's fine. But I really enjoyed the dynamics between the characters. I enjoyed the world building. I thought it was quite believable in the actions that were taken, and not super predictable, which was very nice indeed. We're up to October, my favorite month of the year. Actually, it's probably like June, July, because October it starts to get hot. But my book of the month for October was actually one of the book club picks of the month, which is Rewitched. I actually got the Waterstone signed exclusive edition, and I'm glad I did because this was awesome. Now, going into this, I thought there would be more spice, but more on the romance, but it was very much a book of self-discovery and believing in oneself. It fell on me right at the time that I needed, and I thought that the main character, Belladonna Blackthorn, was epic. I thought the witch system was very cozy, but also dark, and it very much gave me 90s vibes, and even the author has said it was like meant to be like 90s, like with flip phones and all that kind of stuff. Well, not flip phones, but minimal phones and all that kind of stuff. But I loved it. It gave me practical magic vibes. It gave me Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She was 30 as well, and I just thought that was just super cute. And the old guy in this and the love interest, oh my God, it's amazing. I want more. I want more. I want to read this again, and I want more. Now, we're at November. We're so close to the end. In the month of November, I actually read 11 books. My book reading era really kicked off, and I just started devouring books. And one of the books was actually quite a surprise because it was the first book that I read of the month, but it was the one that left me thinking and that I really enjoyed. And that was Spookily Yours. Now, this is a independently published book, and it was just so cute. So she's a witch. He's a demon. She accidentally summons him, and it's just so cute. He is originally a cat, and she's got to break the curse, and they're like in this like a magical town, and there's like a series for it, and I need the rest of the series now. I'm gonna have to jump on and order them because so good, so good. If you want something that's cozy, spicy, gives you Halloween Town but make it adult, try this one. Honestly, it is just adorable. In the spice rating, I would probably give this, I'd probably give this a 3. Most of my spice ratings for these have been 3, but it is just cute. The spice was not in your face. It was very cute and cozy, and I just loved it. I loved it. I really did. If you're looking for a Halloween read and you are looking to add to your TBR for that for next year, for this year, then try this book, honestly. And the last book of the month was one that I just read yesterday that I'm filming this, and that is A Hunger Like No Other. Now, this is technically a reread, and technically I wasn't picking books that I had reread, but my reading month in December was not great. I read a total of 9 books. Half of them were novellas. They were the Christmas novellas with Ali Hazelwood and that. And I was going to pick the first Ali Hazelwood, Cruel Winter with You, but it didn't leave me thinking and didn't give me those emotions that I really like to have for my book of the month, and that's why I had to pick A Hunger Like No Other. Now, this one was originally published in, bear with me, in 2006, but it is amazing. So this is a part of the Immortals After Dark series. These have vampires, werewolves, Valkyries, demons, you name it, it's in here. So we follow Emmeline, who is half vampire, half Valkyrie, and we follow her her werewolf mate, Lachlan, who has broken free of a prison cell after 150 years of being tortured and chases her down. This very much gave me Beauty and the Beast, but a little bit darker. A lot more darker. It does start off very dark, so keep that in mind when you're reading it. It's definitely on the dark side, but I feel like in the end, once they finally start that communication and being open and honest with each other, it is very different. But keep that in mind when you're going into it. In terms of the spice rating, I'd probably put this on a 4. There was some very dark moments. There was definitely, because she's a vampire, blood in it, so keep that in mind. But yeah, this was my book for December. Not Christmassy at all, but you know, you get what you get. Let's do the semi-final, shall we? So for January, February and March, the book I picked for those 3 months that won out was the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Like, hello, obviously I loved it. I've read the other 3. I've pre-ordered the next ones. Yes, just yes, obviously. For April, May and June, I actually picked Bonded by Thorns, mainly because it really left me thinking and it made me want to read all the other books, which I have up there, and I want to finish them so badly, but they are thick, like thick books. So I'm going to have to set aside time for that. I might have to read it in chunks, but this is my book for the second quarter. Look at me talking football things. My husband's actually watching football right now, so if you hear yelling in the background, that's why. For July, August, and September, like, obviously, The Anthologist Field Guide to Love. Yes, I need this second book. I love it so much. I had so many great lines in this that I absolutely loved, and I could picture the world in my mind as it was happening. So, obviously. Then for October, November and December, the last semi-finalist is Rewitched. Obviously. Hello. Magic system, check. Cool 30-year-old witch, check. 90s vibe, check. Practical magic, check. Yes, obviously. Now, we go into the finalists. In the finalists, we are narrowing it down to 2. And then from that, we will pick our book of the year. The first 2 battling against each other in the finals It's a Pumpkin Spice Cafe and Bonded by Thorns. Now, this was a very hard decision. I crossed out, I redrew it, I crossed out, I redrew it. And honestly, it was so hard to pick between the two, but I had to go by which one will I continue with? Which one will I pick? Now, I did write a different one down in my diary, but now that I'm thinking about it, it's the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. Like, I know not everyone's loved it and most people rated it 3 stars, but I just loved it. I loved the vibes. I loved the characters. I loved the mystery. I loved the spice. Yes. The next two in the finalists are Rewitched and the Anthologist Field Guide to Love. Now, this was so hard. I loved them both so much, and it was just a hard pick between the two. I had to go, which one do I think of most? And that's the Anthologist Field Guide to Love. Like, I think about the characters so much. I think about Beth and Devon and how they work together and the female empowerment and the magical world that it is. And it has to be this, because there was no part of this I was like, I don't like that. Where this one, there was a few bits, but yes. A finalist. Now, this was one of the hardest decisions. It took me 3 days. 3 days to work out which one of these two will win. Which one do you think? Let me know in the comments down below before I pick. But you might be surprised. You might be surprised. Who knows? Which one do you think? Give me a little pumpkin emoji if you think it should be this one. Give me a little bird emoji if you think it should be this one, if you've watched this far. But, drumroll, the book of the year is The Anthologist Field Guide to Love. I love it. I love India Holtman's writing. I love the Victorian era that she creates within this. With that magical twist, it's just everything. Now, she did write a Gentle Women's Guide to Witchcraft and the Wisteria Society for Lady Scoundrels. Loved it. And I'm so glad that she came out with this book. I found it relatable. I can go on and on and on about this, but if you have to pick up a book for next year from this video, please pick up this one and let me know what you think. Okay, everyone, now that we've made that mess, I need to go put these books away. And hey, if you want to see more bookish content, make sure you subscribe. And I'm always up for a chat over on Discord. I'll leave my link down below. But you better get going. Thank you for visiting today. The library is about to close so I can reshelve these books. And I'll see you next time you visit. Bye.